Recently, the past 4 weeks, when I've gone shopping at Food Town, I felt very uneasy while placing food in my cart. People were staring at me. In fact, when I noticed people observing me, I became a bit paranoid and headed to the cashier. People were also watching me load my car with a few dozen plastic bags filled with food. And then they continue to say, I went shopping again today and I took advantage of our state of Ohio constitutional carry. Today I felt more relaxed while shopping, even though people and customers and employees were again staring at me. There are no large gaps with any products on the shelves, but there were only 21 customers in the store. Remember what I've stated in the past? That there's going to be plenty of food, and that's what that video yesterday was about. There's going to be plenty of food, but people will be priced out of food. And they say here, I felt a bit of pain in my soul because food was abundant, yet there were few who could afford the price of eggs and butter. Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, I received a barrage of emails yesterday from Canadians giving me their experience that they're having in Canada with the increase in the price of food and also some other things as well. And I noticed, I think 2 or 3 common denominators in all of the emails that I got, and I'll explain that here later on. But first, before we start going through some of these emails, I received an email from one of our community members that said to remember that Canada is not homogeneous, meaning that all of the provinces or cities, I guess over there they call them province, right? All of the provinces, they're not the same. That some of them have higher wages, and with higher wages come higher cost of living, and some of them do not. So keep that in mind, and that is something that I went through on that video when I showed you that I picked out the highest salary for all of the Canadian provinces. It was like 69,000 Canadian dollars, I believe, something like that. And that's what I compared the groceries to, as the highest average salary. So let's start with this one from Atlantic Canada. And they say here, I spend 25% of my take-home pay on groceries. If you look at Statistics Canada, the average salary in my province, which is Atlantic Canada, is just under $50,000. I make just under $60,000 gross and have a university education. I roughly pay 30% for income tax. Wow. We pay 15% tax on goods and services, but not on base foods like veggies and meats. So they pretty much pay a sales tax, but not on foods, on basic foods. We are a family of 3. They spend $900 a month on groceries and shop sales, clearance, discount meats, same day expiration. We do not eat out. My weekly groceries do not include my preps. So they're spending roughly $10,000 a year on groceries on a salary of, let's say, $60,000 gross. All right, and then on top of that, they've got all the other taxes that they have to pay. Now, I'm not sure where this one is from. I think it may be from the U.S. They didn't mention here, but it says, inflation is real. I went to a local grocery store yesterday. This is more like an IGA, not a big chain. A head of lettuce was $4.99. 4 small ears of packaged corn, $5.99. Wow. 1 cauliflower, $8.99 per head. Things are getting crazy. And Merry Christmas as well. And let me say thank you to everyone that emailed. Man, I'll tell you what, it gives us a great advantage to know what's going on in other parts of the country and other countries as well, because it motivates us by allowing us to know that it's not just happening where you live, but that it's happening spread out wide, not only throughout our country, but throughout the world as well. This one is from Victoria, British Columbia. Yes, food is insanely expensive here, and there are lots of shortages. Costco had only one type of pasta on the weekend. Normally a decent selection of pasta. And yeah, Costco usually has a pretty good selection of pasta. And the grocery store called Superstore had very little pasta, and the price was up. Still had canned goods on the shelves stocked up though. No frozen vegetables in Costco. They did not know when more was coming in. Superstore and other grocery stores had frozen vegetables, but the cost was up. And then they say here, which, yeah, I guess, and that's saying a lot. when they're saying that we here in Alaska have cheap food prices compared to them in Victoria, BC. To me, that is saying a lot. They also say that my family keeps stacking and prepping, which is the only way to survive. We have done the best that we can do. And they go on to say that they grow potatoes, onion, asparagus. They pretty much supplement their sustenance with things that they grow themselves in the gardens. So that's something that you want to take note of, is that if you haven't grown anything, try growing things to see how you do and to see what you get. Because I'll tell you what, I used some of the potatoes that I harvested from this last season in my little potato garden that I had this year, which I only had like 40 pounds of potatoes. But 40 pounds is better than none. And I learn every year that I do some potatoes, I learn something new. So eventually I'm hoping to be able to grow enough potatoes that will feed my family or last my family throughout the entire year, and some that I can barter as well and also use for the next season's plantings as well. Now this one right here really is concerning, because people that are on fixed incomes, man, I'll tell you what, people on fixed incomes are those that are probably going to suffer the most going forward. Hello AP, I am from Calgary, Alberta. It's just me and my wife retired now. We spend approximately $1,000 Canadian a month, about 1/3 of the income, on food, which includes toiletries as well. We eat okay, but watch prices and avoid beef aisle most trips to the grocery store. One of the things that I've noticed is that in the emails that I've read, and the ones that I'm going to read here, is that they're avoiding meat. And I could not imagine spending 1/3 of income on groceries alone. I'm hoping that since this couple is retired, I'm hoping that their home is paid off and all that kind of stuff. Because I've also heard, and you can correct me on this in the comments, that fuel prices and energy bills are extremely high in Canada as well. And this one reads, food prices are going up fast. On my last weekly shop, with 15% discount on items in the store, there was still sticker shock. Shrinkflation, meaning that things are being sold at the same or higher price for less of an amount. And the cheapest butter that they found were $6 a pound. And they did not, again, like I said, they did not look at the meat. Why bother, right? And listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. Here they say that the things are so expensive where they're at that they walk around the store like if they were in a china shop, afraid to touch something because they don't want to break it or damage it and then have to pay for it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not preparing right now, I hope that you consider starting immediately, because this is not going to get better. Next year it's going to get worse. And this one here says it's from Edmonton, AB. I'm not sure if that stands for Air Force Base, but it's in northern Saskatchewan, if that's how you pronounce this. Here they say that prices have been increasing here over time, the last half of 2022 being the most dramatic. And they just give us some examples on how much things have gone up. They say that 5 dozen eggs have increased by $3, lemons by $3, limes did reach $11, mixed peppers $3. Listen to this, a pack of thighs increased, wow, $2.50 to $27. I'm wondering if that's a typo, but look at this one, pack of breasts increased $3 to $5 to $36. That's a tenfold. Tenfold on what? On meat, ladies and gentlemen, on meat. Ground beef, lean ground beef, $18 for 2 pounds, so that's $9 a pound. A 3-pack romaine lettuce, about $8 to $10 depending where. Chunky soup from Campbell's, $3 to $4 a piece. Empty shelves, bare shelves, and gaps are scattered across the store. Not too much in any store that will cause the zombies to notice. They did notice the children's medicine being emptied across Canada. We see the aisles being changed. We see the marks on the floor, more crap and less useful items. Exactly what I've been talking about as well. That you're going to see more things on the shelves that you don't need to live. And those things that you do need to live, like sustenance, fuel, energy, is going to continue to increase in price. Stock up on those things now, ladies and gentlemen. And listen to this. Comparing America to Canada, and I'm not laughing. It's not a laughing matter. It's just kind of funny because she left a wink in the end. Americans have good prices. Cheap, cheap, cheap. What are we all complaining about? And you know what? After seeing some of these prices and reading some of these emails, I kind of asked myself the same question. I'm like, wow, how are some people surviving? And maybe that's all they're doing is just surviving. Now, ladies and gentlemen, hold on, because I'm saving the one that I think is the best one toward the end, because this one is like, wow, this is actually from someone that makes a very good income, right? It's not this one, but here we go. I am a small business owner who makes above average income, and I spend 90% of my income on food, including animal feed and pet food. She continues to say, my husband covers the rest of the bills, including the mortgage. We used to be able to afford 2 vacations a year, but not anymore. I am a gardener, homesteader, and prepper. The cost of living in Vancouver Island in British Columbia is unreal. Lots of folks are moving to Alberta where it is more affordable. That's another thing that I'd noticed is that people are moving to other places just because of the cost of living and where they are. The one thing that I don't think that they're realizing, though, is that it's going to catch up to them eventually. If it was not for my business, children, grandchildren, and family would have moved also because of the price of food. And she finishes by saying, there are a lot of people putting their heads in the sand, and the people that made fun of me a few years ago are not laughing now because the prices are double. And again, don't listen to what other people say. And these people that, were laughing at her a few years ago, now they're finding themselves in a situation where they don't really have any choices. They either pay the prices or they don't eat. Whereas this person here has made plans, has made preparations, and now they're able to stay put where they're at, continuing to live a decent standard of living and being able to afford the prices. Why? Because they're prepped up. And when you're prepped up, you can wait. You can afford to wait to find sales and find deals. Even though today's sale prices are last year's regular prices, it's still better than paying the full prices that they are asking for today. This person here is from Quebec and has a family of 5. My kids are 3, 6, and 8, and we spend on average $600 a month in food for 2022. Which part of it goes to the prepping stash, which is great. So we're not living on rations. That's awesome. So they're spending about $7,200 this year, way lower than $15,000 mentioned in the video. But you're going to see that some people are paying around that much per year. We eat well in a diversified menu, meat, veggies, fruits, etc. Wow, so they live in Quebec. The cost of living, I'm guessing, the cost of living in Quebec is not as high as some of these other places. She says here that their household income is around $80,000 a year. So that's good. So it shows why some people are deciding to move to different parts of Canada. I live in the northern parts of Alberta. I have 4 teenage boys, ages 14 to 19, all living at home. My oldest works and helps with the bills. The other 3 are all in school. I am a master electrical contractor in the oil field. Things are not bad for me yet, he says. And he says, ladies and gentlemen, please sit down before you read this. My wife had a side hustle making lunches for a few coffee shops and gas stations in our local area for the last couple of years. I was the one who bought all of the ingredients and monitored the prices closely. In the past 2 years, flour has gone up from $6.85 to $12.50 per 10 kilogram, about every 22 pounds or so, 24 pounds. Yeah, 22.2 pounds is 10 kilograms. Sugar was approximately $7, now it is $11. Frozen and unbaked croissant packages from $49.99 to $69.99. Leaf lettuce is not really available anymore. Black Forest ham from $20 to $27. Processed turkey roast, $19 or $20 to $26. Everything is about 30%, pretty much. Butter is up to $5 from $3.25. And cheese is up to $29 from $20 for a 2.5 kilogram block or package. And he says, now take the increase in electricity for baking and gasoline, which amounts to 2 round trips for delivery twice a week. We couldn't charge the business enough to recoup the cost and still have customers, so we just called it quits this past week. So they were expending so much in input costs that it now made it unbearable or unprofitable for them to continue to do what they were doing. Remember those input costs that we talked about in the past? The amount of money that it takes for you to actually make and transport the product? Well, when the input costs become too high, then you're pretty much working for free or for negative. So you're not going to do it anymore. It's like I've said in the past. It doesn't matter how much someone loves doing what they're doing, whether it's farming, whether it's baking, whether it's cooking, whatever it may be. They're not going to do it for free, especially not if it costs them money. Now, in regard to our family, we can go through the food. Now, I'm going to read this part because I just love this part. All right, he says, my wife is 5'10" and eats very little compared to my 14-year-old who is 6 foot 1 inches tall. He has a 16-year-old who is 6 feet 3 inches tall, and he has an 18-year-old who is 6 feet 7 inches tall. Now, his wife is pretty tall. You know, for a woman, 5'10" is pretty tall for a woman. So I'm just imagining, how tall are you? Please email me back and let me know how tall you are, being that you have an 18-year-old who's 6'7". And I hope that he plays basketball, all right? Maybe he can turn that height into income in the future. My oldest son seems to have stopped growing at 6'2". Oh, my goodness. So none of us except my wife are under 200 pounds. So you know right there that there's a lot of calories going on. This is a family of 5, I believe he said, right? So it's a family of 6, okay? So he goes on to say, we substitute our grocery store purchases with 2 large gardens, mainly with potatoes. Well, with those boys that you have, I hope you're making potatoes because that's a lot of calories. Let's see. Corn doesn't grow well in our climate. We have lettuce growing year-round with hydroponics. That's awesome. Chickens for eggs. We usually buy 1 full cow for meat and harvest 1 elk or 1 deer per year. That's awesome. In regard to my work, I do a lot of driving, repairing remote oil and gas wells. My average daily fuel bill is around $140. And he says that his accountant just today has informed me that this past year, my fuel bill has increased from $12,000 to $18,000. So it's gone up by 50% in 1 year. And that is just driving a 1-ton diesel pickup truck with no increase in miles driven. And he says that he drives approximately 250 to 350 miles per day. And yes, he does have a get-home bag just in case. Man, and he says, I'm sure I could bore you with more info, but I'd best stop here. No, I don't think this is boring at all. I think this is pretty intriguing because the price of fuel is also something that is allowing the food prices to increase as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for today. Thank you very much to all of you that sent in emails. Truly do appreciate you sharing with us a perspective of what it is in different parts of Canada. And also a couple of places here I think we covered in the U.S. If you have any more of these stories, send them in. And then when I get enough, I can do a compilation to keep us updated. To see if things are changing, really. All right. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, not sure if I'm going to be putting out another video today or not. Probably will. I do have a couple of reviews that I have to work on. So until then, remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.